In this tutorial we're going to discuss the new user interface for DAZ Studio 4. I have a fresh install of DAZ Studio 4 Pro on my PC, and by default when you first open it up, this is generally what you will see. You'll be given the new Genesis figure, and the workspace style that we have here is called Hollywood Boulevard. Now for some people, they like working with this. It's very different than what we're used to, but personally, I like it to be a little less frilly and a little bit more down to earth. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the Window drop down menu, and I'm going to click on Workspace, and I'm going to click on Select Layout. Now you have 4 different layouts that you can choose from. We have one called City Limits, one called Self-Serve, Hollywood Boulevard, which is currently open, and one called Full Service, which is still in beta mode. I don't recommend you use this yet since it's still in beta. For my personal preference, I like City Limits because City Limits puts all these tools along the sides. It's very neutral in color. I like that. I like the gray background. This is just my personal preference. Of course, you can choose whichever one you want to. But I'm going to click Accept because this is the one I want to work with. There, see how it cleans it up nicely? Now you still have your shelves or columns on the left and right hand side. The other thing I don't like about the way this is set up is having the tabs along the side of these shelves. The way to get rid of that and put them on top where I personally think they should belong is to go under Edit in the Windows version, or under File if you're on a Mac. Go down to Preferences and find Interface. Now in this last grouping here, it says Tab Groups. Click on the bottom box here. It says Orient Tabs Along Top, and then click Accept. By doing that, you take the tabs along the side off the side, and they now display along the top. And as you can see, we now have a new problem. We can't see all of the tabs. Not to worry, let's go under Window, Style, and select Style. I have 2 styles to choose from. There is a third one that you can download, which is free and usually comes along with your downloads for DAZ Studio. The one we're looking at now is called Main Street. I want to choose Highway. And all this does is it displays the fonts in a smaller font size. I'm going to click Accept. And by doing so, I now have all of my tabs visible. They're not too large, and this is perfect for what I want to work with. Okay? Now, before you do anything else, this is a new feature from DAZ Studio that I think is causing more problems than it's worth, and it's called Smart Content. My advice to you as a new user is to left click on this tab, drag it into your workspace, and then click on the little X in the upper right hand corner and get rid of it. And never bring it back again. It's a great idea, and I know DAZ probably had the best intentions with that tab, but it's confused so many people as to where their content is. They go to their Smart Content tab and they can't find what they've just installed, and they have a lot more trouble locating things because they're relying on that and not viewing the content library, which is really where you should be searching for your content. So just get rid of the Smart Content tab altogether. Now, you saw that I was able to left click on that tab and drag it onto the workspace. This is how you can customize your experience with DAZ Studio. I just took all 3 tabs off of the left column, and now we don't have a left column. I'm going to left click on the gray box on the top, and I'm going to bring it over to the left again until I get this orange line, and there, I get it back. Because when I set up my work environment, I like to have things in a certain place, and a lot of it echoes what I had set up in DAZ Studio 3. So I'm just going to click and drag this open a little bit. So I have my content library set over here. I would like to left click my shaping tab, and I can drop it here in the center, or I can simply just go straight across and then drop it in to the left column. So I got content library shaping. Let's also grab posing, and this time I'm just going to go straight across and drop it in there. And over here I'm going to grab lights and pull that out and drop it onto the work area and cameras as well. Actually, I'm going to just nest those two together, and I'm going to grab this whole box and bring it down here to the bottom and release. And now I have my light editor and my cameras editor both in a box underneath this column. And I'm going to grab my scene tab and drag it over here and drop it. And I'm going to rearrange these. Let's see if it'll let me do it. There we go. I have scene, which is important for me because this shows me the items that I have in my work area. And I have my parameters and my surfaces. Over here I have my content library, my shaping, and my posing. And the reason I'm having these in this particular order is because for me in my workflow it follows some sort of logic. Content library I use to find my content to place in my scene. I can, having the scene tab over on this side, I can highlight a specific item, which will allow me to either change the morphs of that item through the shaping tab, or pose it through the posing tab. And if I need to adjust parameters in the figure, still having scene set up over here, I can go to my parameters tab and make adjustments through here. Or if I want to work with the materials or the surfaces, I can do that as well. So it follows a distinct order for me. This is just my personal preference and how I work. There's one more tab I'd like to add, and you can find your tabs if you click on the drop down window menu, go to tabs, and I am going to go down here and find render settings and select it. I like to have this tab also available to me. I'm going to click that and drag that down here to the bottom. So I have my lights editor, my cameras editor, and my render settings. And this is how I work. This is the way my workspace is set up. And if you get it set up a certain way that you prefer, you can also go back up here to the window, go back to Workspace, and you can save layout as, and then give it a name. And that way, if you ever want to refer back to it, or if you want to change your layout setting for any reason, but then want to revert back to the one that you just created at any time, you can do so. In the next tutorial, we're going to look a little bit more in depth at the content library and explain how we can start utilizing your content management using your categories container.